Hey y'all, it's Evan with Fifth Third Trading. We're back again. It is Thursday, December 11th. Nope. Hey y'all, it's Evan back again with Fifth Third Trading. Today is Thursday, December 10th, 2020. We have some more stocks for us to look at. I would review yesterday's stocks and say which ones are still viable. Yesterday was a red day, so about 9/10 of those are still viable. Check yesterday's video for those calls. Many today will be great pickups for you as well as these new ones. If you are a 9-to-5 trader and you're having a hard time finding setups that work for you with your schedule, this is the channel for you. If you're an intermediate trader and you have a bunch of stock in NIO, Plug, Riot, yesterday IDEX and GSLI, whatever it was, right? You have a bunch of money tied up. This is a great channel for you to find mid-cap stocks that have just as much potential, but they're a little bit cheaper and they're on the more safe side, right? Less risk, more reward. It takes a little bit more time. LIVN today hit us 20%. I haven't looked at my portfolio all day. I just signed on and saw that. Good stuff for me. SMAR 50, that 20. I made 70% return on two things this week. It's really, really good stuff. Before every single ticker is a 5-second title screen. I encourage you to pause the video, go into your trading view, your Thinkorswim, your Webull, and chart it out yourself. What I want you to do is start off with supports, resistances, and trend lines. This is going to show us everything we need to know about price action. After you chart the price action, I then want you to go in and check your indicators. I use RSI, stochastic, and MACD. You can use whatever you want to use, right? But I want you to go in and then check them and see how those look, right? If you do it yourself first, you're going to have much better odds of actually learning the content by doing it yourself first and having me reinforce what you see. Are we going to match up perfectly? No, that's totally fine, right? If you have a system that works for you, and this is a great way to refine it, please take advantage of that. Otherwise, let's get into it and check our stocks for the day. Alright, so our first stock of the 10 we're looking at is DOC or DOC. Now, we can see over the last 5 months this beautiful channel. In theory, I would really enjoy it for it to come down a little bit. But I'm putting it on your radar because it's still technically downtrending. You could see that from right here. You connect these peaks. You can say anywhere in here, it was still downtrending. So it just broke that. As you can see, it can be kind of a sticky situation because like over here, there's no real clear sign of the downtrend ending, or like over here it's like, well, where do you consider it? Is that it, right? But it's a nice tool to kind of like always line these up and just kind of see. But given everything and giving it all any kind of placement, it looks like it's out of the downtrend. It looks like over here it hit resistance, so that kind of makes sense why it went back down. Realistically, below 17.22 would be my perfect buy-in price. Anywhere down here has a lot more profitability. But this line does have a history of support, right? It does bounce here, it bounces here, it bounces there, it bounces here. So is this going to be a stock for an intermediate person who has aspirations to make a lot of money? No, this is definitely not for you at this point. If you're a beginner, this is a great stock. If you were to buy in today, your stop loss needs to be around 17.12, 17.10. That's a 3% loss, but that's okay. That's worst case if it comes down here and doesn't hold. We're looking at maybe 8%, 9%. It's a nice slow-moving stock, right? It did tap in the channel, went back up. It tapped twice and went back up. So it's a great one for you to kind of watch. You're not going to lose a bunch of money or make a bunch of money. In this 2-week span, you made 8% over here. Over here in a downtrend, you lost, 5% over 9 days. You have time to react. This is a great beginner stock. Let's check our indicators. So with our indicators, as we can see, the Stoch is a little worn out, RSI is a little worn out, MACD is pretty even, and it's beneath both of these EMA lines. So it looks like the key thing for us and what you need to watch for is for it to break above 17.9 and hold, like it needs to be here, hold a candle and have one more. So you have the rest of the day and then until about noon tomorrow, it has to show life here. If it doesn't show life here, that's great. Then you just put on your watch list and you wait for it to hit down about 17.2, anywhere in that area. Even better, 16.5. Any of these lower prices down here, we can really maximize our profits. But we're looking for a bounce here off of this channel. It has a lot of success. So put it on a watch list. Wait for a break above either 17.9 or for it to die into the 17.2s. That's your play for Doc. It's a good setup. It's a great stock to watch after. Maybe it's not going to be a great play tomorrow, but in the next few days, this will be a great one. Next is GOOS, GOOS. It's the Canadian Goose holding. I wonder how many geese they have held. This is our volume line right in the middle. So as you can see, it followed it for a while, and now it's outside of our regular 70% volume area, making a new channel. Right, as you can see, it has fairly similar price action going on. A lot of ups and downs and higher lows throughout this. Here's what we're looking at over here. The support is going to be your volume line, right? 30.25, anywhere in here. I do not recommend using this as a support often unless it's extremely clear that it is one. As you can see, it definitely is one in this time area. You could even put your support technically where these two wicks are, which is also a great idea to give you an area of value. So anywhere from 20.79 down to 30.75 down to 30.25 is a fantastic price to buy in at. That's right where we are. So I mean, if you want to get in early like this, you're risking 2 or 3% if it breaks here, but you're gonna look at least 10% if it swings the way we want it to swing. Second goal will be around 36.28, 18%, and then hopefully over the long term you can make it up to about 39.74. That's not impossible, right? Looking at this uptrend, it's uptrending. Kind of, in the long term, it's probably a little exhausted, needs some time to catch up, and it's going to keep going, right? So again, place your money here today. Cut it at $30 if there's a candle holding beneath that. 3 or 4%, you got to give yourself some room. But again, for an uphill movement of 10%, 18 or 30, that's a fantastic 3-to-1, 5-to-1, 10-to-1 kind of play. Let's check the indicators. So as we can see with the indicators, this is why I also like it. RSI and stochastic are extremely low, right? You want to see that. And I mean, I guess the stochastic on this downfall wasn't very useful, but on this bump, on that bump, yeah, the stochastic does have a really good way of showing life on the way up and for reversals. So we have to see here, is it going to piddle out tomorrow? So we saw with the stochastic how it kind of hit and then came back down. Right, it was really low volume this day, right? 200,000, 300,000, usually bats above that for a candle. So if it's a low volume candle, I'd be a little concerned, but let it die off for a little bit. If you're really averse to risk, let it confirm traditionally, right? Let it go above the 10 MA and then go ahead and ride that up. If you're really risk averse, give yourself some space. But I think with how it's kind of curling, it does take a few days. It kind of does that little bowl shape we always usually see, where it's bowling out. It's cup and handling out, right? Let it cup, let it show some life, and then buy in. But the stochastic can't get much lower. RSI can't get much lower. MACD is kind of curling up, so the indicators look good. And then again, your EMA lines are above it, so you have some space between those become resistances. GOOS, Canadian Goose Holdings. Is a great pickup. Great watch list. If it keeps doing what it should be doing, it's going to be a fantastic purchase. All right, next is HLT, Hilton Worldwide. So there's a few things to look at this one. You can even kind of see over time here. Now this isn't a perfect trend line, obviously, but anywhere, kind of like if you were to match these two up, you can see how it bounced off this as resistance. Now it's becoming support again almost. That's definitely not what I like to do traditionally. But you can see at least that it's uptrending, right? Low, low, higher low, higher low, high low, high low, high low, high low, and now we have up here. So looking up here, you can see a channel forming, right? It's a little baby flag over here. We're hoping that this support right here is going to hold. It may not. But if we kind of zoom in on it, right, we have really nice price action. This area does act as support and resistance, right? And it is curling up. And as you can see, most reversals do take a few days. So, I mean, even if you are a little risk averse, okay, you're looking at 2.7% away. But you're looking at a possible gain of 6%, and if this keeps going up, potentially more. So I like the little uptrending. It's kind of, doing what it did over here. Popped up. right? Popped up. So it looks like we have a history of small ascension channels. This is more of a wedge out, but you have your ascension channels and it pops out, right? So it looks like every single time it's done this, it's led to some big move. So I would buy into it just because of the history of it all, but let's check our indicators. So this is also why it's great. The indicators are all in your favor, for sure. The 50 EMA line is what it kind of bounces off of in near. So it broke that recently, and when it breaks it, it comes back quickly. I would expect to see it tomorrow show some life. If it doesn't, I'd be a little concerned that it has some more room to drop. RSI is 41, so it's basically oversold. It's being very close there. The stochastic can't get much lower, and MACD has a history of reversing here. And as you can see, the MACD is slowly circling off. So all three are in your sides. If we also zoom in, I'm sure if we come in here, yeah, you can see it loves to respect the 200 EMA on the 20-day chart, and that's where it's sitting at. So it looks to me like this would be a good one to go long on. Very low risk. You would just cut it beyond the flag channel here. If it does 3%, you're going to make in 7-8%. And again, you can hold this for a long time. If it does what we want it to do and keeps going, it could be a really big profitable day for you. Hilton HLT is a good conservative bet, in my opinion. So JCI, as you can see, it moved this channel up. It was definitely down here before, and now it's moved up. So this is probably our new channel of play in this area. It's testing the 70% volume line, and it's wedging. So the only concern is that wedges do lead to breakdowns eventually, but as you can see, nope. So wedges do lead to breakdowns, but you can also just consider this a ascension. I mean, to call it a wedge is a little bit of a stretch because it only has 2 points. So I mean, you can call almost any of these. You know, like, is that a wedge right there? Is this a wedge? So I mean, like, it's a fairly clear ascension. Wedge is possible. But we're doing this based off of risk versus reward. Where it is 2% away, 44.50 is where I would consider this a more risky investment. So it's very close stop loss area, and you have the support, right? It definitely acted as a support. Now it's acting as a it acted as a resistance. Now it's acting as a support. So worst case, you buy in, you lose 3%. Best case, you go up 6% or so, and then you break above this. And once you break above that, it's a whole new game, right? So let's check our indicators for what's showing us. So it looks like it's riding above the 50 EMA and likes to kind of stay next to it. It also clearly likes to bounce off of the 200 EMA, which is a distance away. So consider that it's 3.8% away. So I guess if you really wanted to get this full move and really bet on it, which I think isn't a terrible idea, you're looking at 43.58 as being your stop loss. But remember, it takes the last 200 candles into account, and those are much lower. So every single day that it holds this price, the EMA is going to rise a little bit, which also brings up your stop loss for you. So it's twofold, right? The price goes up, stop loss comes closer to you. So if it starts to dip a little bit, you're still going to be able to get out quicker than 3%, which is nice. So I consider this 43 area, 43.63 is your stop loss area at the moment. Stock is coming down. The RSI is a fair price. MACD is coming down. So I guess you can expect a little bit of a pullback, a few percent. So keep this on your watch list. When it comes out and tests one of these two lines, it's going to come right back up. I mean, historically is what it says. You know, I would say 6 months of ascension based off of this line doesn't lie. So give it some time, but JCI, based on the indicators and the price action alone, is a fantastic long-term investment. Our next stock is MTNB. It's a biopharma company. We were playing this channel for months, right? We had a great old time. We all were having a blast. I then said, hey, buy in again down here, and it took off, and we made some really nice money. What I'm seeing here is a possible, it's a really sharp increase. I mean, like, this is a penny stock, so like that's a 25% move. I mean, we capitalized quite a lot of money on this one. It's a really intense move. What I think is going to happen is this is a shoulder, a head, and a possible shoulder here. But if that's the case, you still have a good 6% to be made. So we're betting on the fact that this is possibly a new ascension. It's going to start just going up this line and then testing these resistances and breaking through them. Or it's possibly a head and shoulders and you'll cap out at 6% and then you cut your losses and buy back in later, which is totally fine. But the trend line looks really promising. It's rode it before, plenty of success. It hasn't broken below it. And then the support. So if you wanted to buy in now, I mean, we're talking, 4% of risk. That's more than usual, but you guys like penny stocks and you guys want some cheaper options. So I'm trying to accommodate that as such. But you could easily say that this line, the yellow one, is what you want to cut it at. So 3% and some change. But again, I would like to see some life out of this. And let's check our indicators to see what it's showing us. The indicators look pretty good. Looks like the MACD is still not done plummeting, so I'll wait for that to bottom out. It has a little bit of room to drop. The stochastic, again, was super exhausted selling off, so some folks bought in. And it's showing some green as we speak, so if that keeps going, I mean, we have a good amount of room to run for sure. So the stochastic does hold and keep going up and kind of bowling out. That'd be great. And it's important to check the old reversals. Like, I mean, this kind of came up to the same area, the exact same area, and had a small pullback and then took off. This one was a very clean one. This one, pullback. So you should expect maybe a little bit of pullback. We're going to see some green, come back down, then take off, right? RSI is almost oversold. Stochastic is low. MACD is low. Again, it's a little bit more risky of a play, more volatility like ARCT. But if you like these kinds of plays and you want to do some fundamental research into MTNB, I'm sure you'll find something that may convince you to buy or to wait. Check it out, watchlist it. It is a fantastic stock. Next is Peak, Health Peak Properties Inc. Com USD1. That's my middle name. No, but as you can see, we have a really strong middle trend area and then a support, which is right above this 70% volume area. So we know it can go below, and it has not held above. But a holding above really makes me encouraged, right? Because that's showing that we're going from like this channel up, like we're staircasing up like we'd like to see. You also notice this really pretty golden trend line. Yes, it's not perfect. It was broken, but this was maybe a 5-day. It kind of came down, consolidated, and took off. So if you're going to be a purist, which I usually am, you're going to put your line much more like this, which shows it's not exactly a perfect pattern. But that's okay, right? We sometimes have to do that to make it work out better, right? Because we would have missed this whole entire move, if you were trying to be so rigid, you know what I mean? So Peak looks good. It's at a support area as we speak in this channel above our 70% line. That gives us a really clear indication where stop loss needs to be. Anywhere from $29.20 down to $29, anywhere in here would be a perfect stop loss. If you really believed in the stock, I'd put it right below this peak, right above this peak, right below this area. So maybe like 28.85, probably 3%. But you can see it's showing higher lows every single time. So I'm assuming our lowest price it's going to get is 21.85. So I guess you can wait and see what it's going to do. But it's had higher lows and higher highs until recently. So I mean, I guess you can say this is a triangle forming. And again, when triangles form, big moves happen. So I wouldn't be all too shocked to see it keep going up. This was a huge sell-off. Let's check our indicators. So this is great. These look really good. RSI is at 38. That's the lowest one we've seen today. Stochastic cannot get too much lower. And the MACD, again, has a little bit of room to drop. But the stochastic says otherwise. So we gotta wait for the stochastic to kind of show some life here and the RSI to kind of run its way back up. If we look at our historical reverses real quick, you can see bull shape. So it seems like it kind of likes to take its time out with reversals. It does seem to kind of make nice O-shaped reversals. So it's probably looking like we have a few more days of kind of consolidating and then turning around. But you don't want to be confused and miss like this nice, 7% jump because you're trying to be too conservative. We already trade conservatively with my system that I use. So you can do that. You can see it respects the 200 EMA as well, highly. So if you really wanted to, stop loss at, 28.74. which has moved it up for us already. Anywhere in that area would be a good stop loss. But PEAK, peak has over the last 4 months shown higher lows, and I think it's going to keep going. PRTA, Prothena Corp. So this is a fantastic looking chart. It's been plenty of channels and plenty of action. As you can see, we have higher lows. All right, we like to see that. We also have, like, I guess a double bottom here, a double bottom here, right? I guess you have some forming patterns, but as you can see, it has life. You know, it's gone higher, higher, and then it only breaks this area for about 2 weeks. So I mean, it does have some room to drop. I'll assume this was something fundamental, or maybe it's an options play, but you know, it obviously has some form of life you can play off of. I see no big red bars down, so that's reassuring. So if we kind of come over here, we can see that this red dotted line, right, has a lot of action on it, and that's not an accident, right? Like this gap right here was not an accident or a coincidence, right? This big bar through it was not a coincidence, right? We can see it has a lot of volatility based on this big volume area, and it seems to respect our 70% volume area. Hence, we're not adding any kind of supports to it. It's really obvious. So right here, I'm going to assume it's going to drop down into our channel. This channel will probably meet up with our red line in that area. If that happens, you got to realize how long some of these reversals take. There's a chance of this happening back and forth, and that's going to be probably really stressful for some of you. Now, again, if you buy in at the right price, you know, you can abuse this kind of action really, really easily. So you got to be on your game here. So like you can say this is a support area with these wicks. So if that's the case, it looks like our highs are going to be kind of like in this area, right? So you got to be on your game. If this comes down and hits here again, we're talking 5% every other day, and this is going to be your buy-in area, which it's already in. So you want to see it drop a little bit, hit that high volume area, and see what it's going to do. There's a chance it's going to kind of go back and forth and really do, you know, like a pogo stick, or it may hit here, and then all of a sudden you wake up to 32% profits. It's not impossible with this stock. You also may see it break through this, which is totally understandable, and come down here into this area. And if that's the case and you bought in, you lost some money, if you come down here, you're going to make way more money than you would have before. So I'm expecting a reversal soon, but let's check our indicators, see what it says. So I like the indicators a lot. RSI is a bit high. I thought it would have been a little bit lower, but I'm assuming that's just because of these recent peaks. It probably really pulled it up and then it kind of came back down. So it has some room to drop. This stochastic says otherwise. It hasn't been this low in a long time. When I hit this channel, it said that. And down here, it said that. So I guess it does have some room to drop a little bit. And the MACD is going to cross back over. But again, this pillar is definitely an outlier for that. So it looks like it has good indicators. Our EMA lines are both above it. So again, I would suspect it to push it down. It likes the 50 a lot more than the 200. As you can just see, it just hugs it better and bounces off it easier. With the 50 being above it, I can see it, going down a little bit. So give it some time. You know, PRTA is obviously a beautiful price action, but give PRTA some time to show you its hand. You don't want to get into something and then have an issue and get scared and cut it to have it bounce up on you and go higher. Just give it some time. Let the stock market reveal its hand to you. You know, be like playing blackjack and you want to see what the dealer has. Let them go first, right? See what they have. Let's check our next stock. ROK, Rockwell Automation, looks pretty good. Just an ascending triangle. As you can see, it just keeps going up. You know, this is our first triangle, broke it. Now we have this new area. It's stepping up like it has it broke above, new channel, broke above, new channel. So we have this area. Does it have room to get lower? Yeah, as you can see, it does get in there. It popped in there for a second. So anywhere within the next few dollars will be great. 238.37 should be your guys' mark for a stop loss, because it's possible that this is going to become a new channel over here. and you may have like, let's do this. You may have the stock now kind of like doing its own channel like it did over here, going back and forth. So that's the case. You don't want to hold, $10 and then the next move you lose you just get back what you would have cut and then bought back in with. So I assume, given the history, it has a really high chance of like hitting this channel and then ascending. So tomorrow, if we see some green, or today, because it's only 240, if we see some green here, I would go long, because as soon as it breaks this high volume area and it holds above it, we're going to have a whole new channel, right? So let's check our indicators. These are also fairly promising. It is below the 50 EMA, but again, it looks like it just goes back and forth around it. Like, it does seem to respect it, but it also seems to have a much higher respect for the 200 EMA. Yeah, it blew through it with some steam. It tested it there and died. It bounced there, bounced there. Yeah, it has some respect for both lines, but again, I think price action's king with this one, not really any kind of line bounces. RSI is oversold. It's going to keep dropping down, and then folks will get on the radar. It hasn't gotten below, 37 in a long, long time for a reason. So I'm assuming that's a good sign for when it gets down there to buy in. The stochastic has occasionally gotten lower than -40. So again, I would see it having more of a pullback, but I wouldn't be surprised if it reverses here. It has a history of reversing in this area, as you can see. These 4 or so reverse early, and then MACD looks low-key kind of worthless, as it often does, honestly. So this looks pretty good, just based off price action. ROK, Rockwell Automation, is a fantastic purchase. It looks like a great investment for the long term. Next is SILV, and I've called SILV before, and I think SILV will make some folks some money again. So this is our volume area. It loves to come into this volume area and bounce back. So it's in this volume area. Today it's showing green. It's already up today 1.62%, which isn't a butt ton, but that's still showing you some life. There is a chance, though, the last few times it has broken below it, and it looks like it did, but it did this for a long period of time. So anywhere from $8.88 down to $8.25, this is our buy-in area, or area of value. You can think that it is on the downtrend, hit, and now it's on the uptrend, right? Because it tapped down here, and now the direction's different. So it seems to have different behavior. If it's downtrending, it comes down lower and then goes back up. So I guess we can consider this our best buy-in area, and we did that actually, and then we got up. So we're going to try and see if maybe it's going to ascend slower, and there does seem to be a history of tapping in this area, going up and coming down and going back up for higher gains. So I like that setup. The price action's good. You're talking 8%, possibly 19, or even 30% gains. It has some really good area to move. Your worst case is you buy in now, you can cut beneath 851, 3%. Not horrible. It has some room to drop, and then you would buy back in when you saw some life. It's great price action, though, as you can see. Let's check our indicators. So again, really, really obvious stuff here. It was recently oversold, and now folks are buying back in. Stochastic is not a great shape, but it does have a history of kind of doing bubble ups and little, like blips and then going up. As you can see, blip, blip, blip up, blip, blip, blip down, right? So it's not terrible looking. MACD has some room to drop. So I guess you could consider this neutral. These are not really for or against it. I don't see any bearish overtones about anything. Everything lines up on the stochastic. So buy in now, 850 is your stop loss, and then come back down to 825, buy in, and then make your money back. It looks really good. Great price action. SILV, Silvercrest Metals, is a fantastic company to watch for the future. Put on your watch list. Buy it when you can. Last but not least is the beautiful setup for WDAY. Workday, as you can see off bat, I guess you can consider that a descending triangle, or not descending triangle, sorry, a horizontal triangle, but I like the price action much more as an ascending triangle. It's constantly gotten higher. Your big moves lead to channels, as I talked about, and now we have this channel. You can even consider this. Again, we have higher lows, which shows life. So I guess one could suspect this can get a little bit lower, As you can see, it is dropping down, and we don't want to buy into a stock that's constantly dropping down or into a downtrend. And let's take into consideration how reversals look. You know, Stark comeback, a Stark comeback, Stark, very, that's bull, but very steep. So it looks like we have to be very quick on the trigger with this kind of stock. I mean, like, it comes down, you have less than a day, 1, 2, 3, boom, off to the races. And we're talking, this was an easy 9%, right? And then 8-10% plays doubles your money with reinvesting the money that you made. And we have some obvious supports here, so it's at support and it's here. So if you were to buy in right now, you're talking maybe a 2% stop loss at 211, anywhere in there. 212 is fine, but I would want to get as close as possible to the golden channel. But anyone who watches this channel more than once knows my channel finding skills, the consistency of ascending channels and triangles work out pretty well. Let's check our indicators. And see, the indicators look really good. It's right above the 200 and between the 50. It does respect the 50 a lot of bouncing action off of it, so I guess you can consider this probably a consolidation going to go on. It does seem to like the 200 as well. I wouldn't get that twisted, but it seems to be much more respectful of the 50 when it's near it. But it looks like the 200 is a much sturdier support. Like, it seems to huddle closer and bounce off the 50. But when it comes near that 200, it just seems to be a brick wall, right? It's like, oh, I can't break it. Boom, got it. So I can see some consolidating going on here. And as we know, consolidating equals big moves. Either way, we have a stop loss in case it's the wrong way. But the RSI is oversold. That's great. Stochastic can't get much lower. That's great. MACD, I got to work on that. I got to change this indicator around. It's not responsive enough for what I like. It's not great. But the indicators are on your side. The lines seem to be on your side. WDAY Workday Inc. is a fantastic purchase for the future. And there you have it, our 10 stocks for the day. If this information interests you, if you've been enjoying the watch list, the small lessons, we broke 600 subscribers a day. We've been alive for less than 20 days. So I guess some folks seem to enjoy what I'm doing. I appreciate any kind of subscription, any kind of comment, any kind of like, any kind of share. It all helps us out. With that being said, have a good rest of your Thursday. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Will it be a watch list? No, because it's Friday, but I will make some form of content for you. I have about 5 or 6 ideas that have been thrown at me. I listen to your guys' comments, and there'll be something in the works for you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you guys next time.